Welcome to CTV News at 5. Tonight, Texas is hit hard. The latest on Tropical Storm Harvey. Thousands are displaced. A federal cabinet shuffle. Who is in and who is out? And the CAQ riding strong. We'll talk to leader François Legault from the party's caucus.
CTV News with Paul Karwatsky.
Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's being called catastrophic flooding in Houston, and authorities say the worst is yet to come. You're seeing just one of many dramatic rescues today as first responders scramble to help thousands of residents stranded by the rising waters. Those crews will have a lot more work to do as forecasts predict more rain this week. The flooding is now expected to peak on Wednesday and Thursday, and much of Houston, the fourth biggest city in the United States, is now a disaster zone. At least 8 people have been confirmed dead. Annie DeMel joins us with the latest on that. And Annie, the focus at this hour is on rescuing as many more people as possible.
Absolutely, Paul. It's been a day of rescue missions by helicopter or by boat. First responders have rescued more than 2,000 people in just the last 24 hours. And by this afternoon, 75,000 911 calls had been placed, more than 2,000 requests for rescue. So people who are stranded in their homes and need to get out fast. The top priorities so far are called critical missions, require the most vulnerable being airlifted to safety. Authorities were hoping to complete almost 200 of those by the end of the day. But what we've been seeing throughout the day are just moving scenes, people with boats, even kayaks, in some cases going door to door, trying to rescue others any way that they can, Paul.
And you know, what better reflection about how bad it is, than the fact that the shelters are filling up fast, almost to capacity.
So far, more than 6,500 people have arrived at shelters in the Houston area alone, Paul, and that is expected to climb. Let's have a look at some of the numbers. 30,000 people are in need of shelter. More than 80,000 people, electricity customers, are without service, and authorities say that they've beefed up their assets on the ground. So 18 helicopters being used for rooftop rescues, in addition to the high water rescue equipment coming in from other states. Finally, the entire National Guard for the state of Texas has been activated to assist in search and rescue efforts, Paul.
And you actually spoke to a Quebecer just outside of Houston today. What's it like where he is?
Well, Pierre Charland and his family have been there for a decade now, and for now they are still in their home. But he was telling me that he's a transplant coordinator for several hospitals, what you could compare to the MUHC, and he has been on the phone trying to make sure that recipients are safe, that they're being cared for, that they are being cared for. But he says it's increasingly difficult. Accessing care is one of the many challenges that they are facing there right now. Here's Pierre Charland.
I work in the Texas Medical Center, which has about 6-7 major hospitals within like 2-3 square miles, and the whole area is still flooded. Staff isn't able to go in and leave, and most of the people in the hospitals have been there since Saturday evening. I've heard this morning they're trying to boat people in from the outside, but you know, this, like you said, the situation is still evolving, and there's people that thought they were safe yesterday and have to evacuate today.
Paul, a situation that is quickly evolving, and later in the show I'll have an interview with another Quebecer in Houston, a priest who's been helping as best he can. And it's quite the story, and we'll have it in a little bit. All
right, a lot more to this story, unfortunately. Thanks a lot, Addie. And Lori's here now with the latest on Tropical Storm Harvey.
Paul, and as if the flooding wasn't bad enough, now there are concerns of what's coming out of some of those floodwaters. Take a look.
So here's the gator moving along. You can see him just kind of taking his time. I'm going to show you. So here's the top of the fence, and now it looks like there's not
So that video is from Arlene Kelch, and she posted that to social media. You can see not only 1, but 2 alligators. The Sheriff's Department has actually posted warnings online, warning people of possible alligators, possible snakes, and we're even seeing clusters of fire ants form in some of these floodwaters. Now, we do have heavy rain continuing to fall along the coast, not only of Texas, but in through parts of Louisiana. In terms of rainfall totals, Houston has picked up 25 35 inches of rain from Friday through until Sunday. That's 635 millimeters of rain. One of the hardest hit areas, Clear Creek, with 838 millimeters of rain. And you can see that Harvey continues to sit and spin in that same area. It's a very slow moving system, moving at about 5 kilometers per hour. So it's still expected to unleash very heavy amounts of rain for parts of Texas and Louisiana. And we'll have some of those totals coming up a little later on.
All right, thanks a lot, Lori. In the wake of Hurricane Harvey, prices at the gas pumps here in Canada could rise. Canadians could pay more to fill up because Texas refineries were forced to close. Ontario and Atlantic Canada refineries that serve the U.S. will consequently have to scramble to get extra supply. Experts say we'll know by Wednesday if prices will indeed jump. Now, back in 2008, when Hurricane Ike shut down Texas refineries, gas prices in Canada spiked 12 cents a liter. So get ready for that. And out of the news tonight, public schools are seeing an increase in student enrollment. It's been a steady climb over the past 5 years, one that's now being attributed to more students and specific services. Tara Schwartz with more on that.
It's not a huge increase, Paul. Public schools are seeing about a 2% increase, while private schools are seeing a 0.4% increase. Now, a number of factors are being talked about with regards to these increases. First of all, public schools have better services for students with special needs. There are also financial considerations. And lastly, more students are getting into the system. Certainly, we have to take into account the number of immigrants that have come to Quebec and are calling Quebec home. And these students now, thousands of them, are getting into the school system. Now, the private sector has said that it does notice that there are fewer students enrolling, especially in the regions. But officials say that private schools don't have any more room than they had 5 or 6 years ago, but acknowledge that there are more students in the system. Also, private schools are not subsidized in the same way that public schools are for students with special needs, and that is something that they are hoping will change. The interesting increase, say people from the public sector, will come in the next 5 to 6 years when we can really tally the number of students, immigrants that have come to Quebec and that are now students this year. The numbers that we will see over the next 5 to 6 years, those are the numbers they are really interested in. Now, the education minister did comment on this, saying that the increase, as slight as it is still good news for the public sector. Tara Schwartz, CTV News.